Now, in the lead up to last month's unsuccessful Voice to Parliament referendum, Qantas spent, wait for it, $370,000 on its support for the Yes campaign. The funds went to campaign insignia on 3 aircraft as well as flights for officials. Have they taken the Yes thing off the airplanes? You two fly a lot.
Well,
are they there? Did they scrub them off? Did they leave them there?
Well, it wasn't on all their planes. It was only, but they are persisting with their endless, unnecessary, often incoherent acknowledgement of country announcements every time you take off from your own city and land in your own country, and then you get welcomed to your own country with some acknowledgement that a flight attendant is obliged to read, and they are obliged. It's not an option that the staff have. It's part of their checklist and they have to do it. So don't blame them. This is something that Qantas is
Well, I think there should be an option on the Qantas ticket. You can opt for carbon credits. There should be, do I want to hear the welcome to country or not? No, thank you. Big NO. And you'd get, and then Qantas can go, you know what, we don't need to do this anymore.
We're talking before about immigration policy and Big Australia and how both major parties have really been on that Big Australia bandwagon. Why don't we, at every election, have a referendum question? Not a referendum because it's not a constitutional issue, but a question that is a policy question that everyone can give a yes or no answer to.
Love it.
And that is something you can do with it, because I think if you did that with immigration numbers, you would see something like 8%.
That's exactly why you will never ever see that question asked on the ballot, because both the Coalition and Labor are completely in the tank for big business, big developers, and they need and want that bigger population. They have no concern about what that actually means to people on the ground.
Living standards are not a concern to them, because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. I know a lot of people are concerned about the demographic makeup of the country, whether people are properly assimilating, and we're going to talk about that later. Yeah. But just the question of living standards, when you're putting this stress on the infrastructure, the infrastructure is not keeping up.
No, exactly.
Right? The roads aren't keeping up.
The hospitals aren't keeping up. The schools aren't keeping up. And I'll tell you what. If you look at our GDP from a per capita basis, so cut up the pie, it has been down for the last 2 quarters. That means that on a per person basis, we are in recession.
Absolutely. Now, ABC management, this made me laugh last week when I read this. ABC management is concerned it does not have a diverse enough workforce.
Oh, really?
And they said action must be taken to ensure it
More
reflects
churchgoers?
modern Australia and our continent and its staff. Now, and in our content, and staff. Yes, so we need more conservatives. So my financial review column, which I know you read, James, thank you, on the weekend.
I only read the News Corp press.
I know. There you go. Look, the point is, the ABC is lacking diversity in its content and in its staff, and that lack of diversity is called conservative thought. That's what they are lacking. Mainstream Australia. They supported yes for the vote, like Canberra. They were on the wrong side of mainstream Australia, Rita.
Oh, not just on the wrong side. If you actually watched some of their current affairs programs throughout that debate, I'm talking about the 7:30 report.
It wasn't a debate on the ABC.
There was no debate. It was just yes, 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 yes. And if you were a no, it was presented as some sort of a sinister, what is wrong with you? What can we do about this terrible misinformation and hate? So they were so removed from mainstream popular opinion there. But this is the issue on every issue. Whether we're talking about climate change, whether we're talking about...
well, let me interrupt you there, because talk about Israel-Palestine. Here's BTN. This is Behind the News. This is the propaganda arm of the ABC, which goes into every school in this nation. Look how they are teaching your kids about what the Palestine-Israel conflict is all about. Have a listen.
The Australian government has provided $25 million to help the humanitarian effort in Gaza.
We are particularly concerned for those who are suffering in Gaza, so we are committed to providing assistance to them through international agencies such as the UN and the Red Cross.
After lots of international pressure, Israel recently allowed some supplies to enter Gaza through its border with Egypt. But many say it's nowhere near enough to help everyone.
The aid that's coming in right now is not of the scale that we need to serve the population.
We had to reduce the ration of food that we were providing per person to make sure that it's stretching out to as many people.
UN agencies have been calling for a ceasefire.
Oh,
James?
What did I just watch here?
Yep, that's what your kids are watching at school,
Was this translated
folks.
from Al Jazeera?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
this is the worst thing I've seen. This is what they're propagandizing kids. And you see what they're doing. It's Hamas are the victims, the terrible Israelis, the poor
Israelis are blocking
Israelis are blocking,
in.
they're starving the poor children. No mention. I mean, maybe they did something else somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe they did, but I rather doubt it. On, on the 200 plus Israelis who are being held in the tunnels that Hamas took all of the aid money to build, that they use civilians as human shields. Ceasefire, Rita.
This nonsense that they are feeding our kids are being forced to watch this in schools. I mean, it's the indoctrination is absolutely off the scale. But it's not just on international issues, it's on everything. Race relations, climate change, national politics, state politics. It is there. It's unrelenting. We pay for it more than $1 billion a year.
Let's cut to the chase. You don't need to be more diverse, ABC. You need to be defunded and privatised and sold off on a subscription model.
I got an idea.
And we'll get back to you so quickly.
There's a great big, huge billion-dollar complex in Ultimo in the inner city. Why don't we solve the housing crisis by turning the ABC headquarters into social housing?
Perfect.